Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Jai Shri Ram, friends. Welcome back to my Vedic astrology channel, Astrosatyajit, on YouTube. And today, because I've been receiving a lot of messages and requests, so I thought I will come live today with live I would say examples, or I would take up live cases, case studies, and this session would be with respect to career. So if you could see, I have named this interaction as live case studies and career guidance through Vedic astrology. So again, we will keep it very simple. I will take up questions of my viewers and audience and subscribers. And if somebody opts for a paid question option, in which you need to pay 510 rupees using any of the UPI handles to my UPI number 84710 77155. So either you can avail that paid service, or else I will just take your chart as an example, and maybe I will just touch on career. It will not be a full-fledged reading. However, I will still explain the chart, how to approach or how to look or infer which direction is favorable for one's career. So as we all understand, career, we have had discussions even earlier. So I did mention, you may refer to my Bhavat Bhavam video in my playlist, or you can even visit career through Vedic astrology. So we do refer, there are two important houses, or there are a few planets which become extremely imperative or important to assess anyone's career, or which area or field of work one needs to choose to do well for themselves in their professional career, if I may say so. Good evening, Ms. Sanyal. So, the moment we have to assess on somebody's career graph, we will have to look at the strength of the 10th house, which is, by default, the karma sthan. 10th house shows your career, it shows your professional rise, it shows the respect, honor, authority that you are supposed to get in this lifetime. So, the pivotal point definitely becomes the 10th house and the 10th lord. We need to assess the strength of the 10th house. We need to assess the strength of the 10th lord. Okay. And if we go back to our Bhavat Bhavam concept, which is very critical in Vedic astrology. So 10th from the 10th, friends, becomes your 7th house. So again, when you are assessing somebody's career, or you are trying to provide career guidance to an individual, you cannot just look at the 10th house and the 10th lord in isolation. Yes, you will have to assess the strength of the 10th house of the D1 chart. You will have to assess the strength of the 10th house lord of the D1 chart. And then you will have to go to the 7th house, which is 10th from the 10th. You will have to assess the strength of the 7th house. You will have to assess the strength of the 7th house lord. That means if career is if the 10th house is the structure or the building of your career, then the 7th house becomes the foundation of that same career. So it would be good if we have a connection established between the 10th house and the 7th house of our D1 chart. Now, how do we have connections established between the 10th house and the 7th house of our D1 chart? There can be multiple ways, friends, that we will be able to establish a connection between the 10th house and the 7th house. One way would be you might see a Rashi Parivartan, a sign exchange between the 10th house lord and the 7th house lord. So it will be very simple. The 7th house lord is placed in the 10th house of your horoscope, and you find your 10th house lord placed in the 7th. So that makes a clear connection between the 7th house energies and the 10th house energies, and both the lords are gaining strength because of the Rashi exchange. Okay. There is one more way that we might have the 10th Lord and the 7th Lord conjunct in your D1 horoscope. They may be in 1-7 axis to each other, so they are mutually aspecting each other, or these two lords, whichever these two planets might become your 10th house lord and the 7th house lord, they might be making a trine connection. So they are 1 in 159 in your D1 chart. So when I say 1, that means they are conjunct. They are in the same house, both the 7th house lord and the 10th house lord, or maybe they are 5-9 from each other. If you remember, when we were referring to the importance of these trines in Vedic astrology, the Trikon Bhav, the Trikon Sthans in Vedic astrology, I did mention that planets which are placed in 5-9 from each other, so that is the Pancham Navam relationship, they will give results as if they are conjunct in your chart. Okay. So we said clear-cut connection, if we see, that's great for someone's career. Connection between the 7th house and the 10th house, connection between the 7th house lord and the 10th house lord. Okay. Now, when we are assessing this, there is also one more piece that we need to look at. We will look at the moon sign. So your moon, irrespective of whichever house it lords in your respective D1 chart, you will find your moon placed in one of those 12 houses of your D1 chart. Wherever your moon is placed in your D1 chart, we will also assess the strength of the 10th house lord from the moon. So whichever place your moon is placed in your D1 chart, we will assess, or we will straight away go to the 10th house from that natal moon. Whichever planet has the lordship of the 10th house from your natal moon in your D1 chart has a very important role to play in defining your career in this current birth. So we will assess the strength of the 10th house lord from the moon as well. And more significantly, we will also look at which house is this 10th house lord from the moon placed in your D1 chart. Whichever house you see your 10th lord from the moon in the D1 is placed, that will also have a very important role to play in your career. So friends, just to sum it up again, I said we are trying to assess one's career, or we are providing career guidance or career counseling to any individual. So what all do we need to look at? We are assessing the strength of the 10th house of your D1 chart. We are assessing the strength of your 10th house lord. We are assessing, using the Bhavat Bhavam concept, the strength of your 7th house. We are assessing the strength of your 7th house lord. Then we shift to your moon's placement. We look at where is moon placed in your D1 chart. Moon represents society, friends. And from this natal moon, we look at the 10th house and the 10th house lord. So wherever the 10th house lord from the natal moon is placed in your D1, that will also give us a clear-cut indication in which direction are we supposed to flourish in our professional journey in this current birth. Now, hey, hi, Parul. Now, when we are looking for the 10th house, we are looking on an individual's career. We are talking about the 10th house. We are talking about the 7th house. We are talking about the 10th house Lord from the moon. But we have to also keep one thing in mind, that, the individual, okay, the Jataka is definitely the main key. Even if we see that the career is supposed to blossom in a particular direction, we will find less struggles in that path if we see the Lagna Lord or the Ascendant Lord also making a connection with either the 10th house, or the Ascendant Lord making a connection with your 7th house, or their respective lords. So that means a very smooth And a great karya is only manifested in the cases where in one's individual horoscope, we see a clear-cut connection not only between the 10th house lord and the 7th house lord, or we also assess where the 10th house lord from the natal moon is placed. Whichever house is placed, that energy is of significant importance in defining one's career. But we also need to look in which direction is the individual focused, which direction the ascendant lord is traveling, or which are the areas which the ascendant lord is touching and activating in this current birth. And hence you would see, certain housewives, they have great charts when we are trying to assess their career. So the astrologer looks at their chart and we find, the 10th house is pretty strong, maybe the 7th house is pretty strong. There's a connection also somehow getting established between the two. It's a well-placed 10th house lord from the natal moon, but they still end up not getting that kind of fame, possession, power, and authority. And it cannot be seen. Vedic astrology, nothing is coincidence, friends. It's all basically, everything comes together or falls in place for a cause, for a bigger cause. Now, all individuals for whom we see great potential in their career, we see great strength in their 10th house, we see great strength in their 7th house, we have to also understand where is the ascendant lord focusing in this current janma? Where is the ascendant lord placed in one's chart? Is the ascendant lord able to establish any connection with these career houses or career defining houses? Those career defining houses may be the 10th house, maybe the 10th lord, maybe the 7th house, maybe the 7th lord, or maybe establishing a connection with the house where the 10th lord from the moon is placed in your case. I hope, friends, it's not getting too complicated. See, it sounds very simple, and yes, it is simple. But Vedic astrology being such a wide, I would say like a deep ocean kind of a science, on the surface, if you are just floating, and if you're not taking a deep dive into this ocean, then you are just doing a superficial reading or a superficial assessment. Career is one of the prime questions any individual wants to get answers about whenever they seek an astrologer, or whenever they are getting into the science of Vedic astrology. They want their chart to tell them what is in store for them in their career in this current Janma. What kind of a role or what kind of a level will they reach in their respective careers? See, now most imperative is which is the career that I need to choose. Even before we jump to conclusions at how powerful I may end up by God's grace, it is more imperative to understand which is the way I need to travel so that I reach my destination in this current Janma not only easily or maybe with less roadblocks, but finally, whatever the potential my chart is showing in terms of career growth, I am able to make that manifest in this current Janma. Now, how will see the Lagna Lord can be well placed, okay? You might find the ascendant lord strongly placed in one of the quadrant houses. You might find the ascendant lord placed in one of the trinal houses. But more importantly, what we need to assess is the Lagna lord making a connection with any of these key houses that we mentioned? Or is the Lagna lord making a connection with any of those key planets which we are making a note while we are doing this assessment of that D1 chart? Now, if I have live audience with me, I am, absolutely okay to take both case studies, which is free as well as the paid options. If somebody wants to opt for the paid option, we do a detailed analysis of their career house, of their career aspect, And if somebody just wants to share their birth details, for me to explain the audience the same concept that I explained, I am okay, or else I will just pull up, any random chart and I'll explain you the same concept. So, is anyone there? Yes, Miss Sanyal, you can share your date of birth, your birth details, and why not? And because any which ways I would have opened the chart to explain the details. So, let me take up your chart. Okay. Birth details. Let me pass case study. And it's 13th Feb 1995. So it's 13th Feb 1995. The time of birth, Miss Sanyal, is 9:19 a.m. Okay. So it's 9:19 a.m. and the place of birth is Kolkata, West Bengal. So let me make it Kolkata. Okay. So Miss Sanyal, your birth details are 13th Feb 1995. The time of birth is 9:19 a.m. So that's 9:19 in the morning, and the place of birth is Kolkata, West Bengal. Yes, Parul, first, seventh, 10th Lord connections will definitely show a great career. Yes. Now, let me explain. And while I am taking this, as a case study, for me to explain what we just covered in the beginning of the video, may I please humbly request all my new viewers, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. And all my existing subscribers, please do like my videos. Please do share in all different possible forums. Please do share it with all astrology enthusiasts. This is I am also taking the paid question, as I said. So if somebody genuinely wants career advice, and if they are, struggling in their respective careers, or they feeling they are getting stuck, yes, you may opt to pay 510 rupees using any of your UPI handles. And I've provided my mobile number in the chat. That's 84710 on which UPI is enabled. And I will take up your question on the live in this session itself. Now, coming back to Ms. Sanyal's chart. First step, we look at the 10th house. Okay. Now, when we look at the 10th house, Ms. Sanyal's chart is chart of the Kalpurush Kundli. Basically, when I say Kalpurush Kundli, we have uh, it starts from Aries ascendant. Okay, Aries is rising in the case of Miss Sanyal. And Miss Sanyal, again, your chart seems to be one of those borderline cases where the ascendant degree is just 14 minutes. So it's 0 degree and 14 minutes. Okay. And slight change in the birth time will have a huge difference because the lagna will shift. So if I, slightly change the time, maybe a minute or a two, we'll reach Pisces ascendant. But right now, the objective is not birth time rectification. The objective is to explain the concept, how we look at one's career. So I'll straight away start considering these same birth details as accurate. Okay. The 10th house, guys, the lord of the 10th is Saturn, and it's Capricorn in the 10th house. Okay. Now we are first looking at the strength of the 10th house. Now, from where all do we find the strength? Okay. We see the kind of aspect the 10th house is getting. Great. If your grandmother has recorded the time, and then it has to be the correct time of birth, Miss Sanyal. And my only reason why I said is because if that nine, see, now Miss Sanyal, this is Should I opt for BTR? I definitely feel so, Ms. Sanyal, that you should book a session with me and you should get your birth time rectification done. And I'll be very honest. See, if I just changed your birth time by 1 minute, Ms. Sanyal, please imagine we are in the world of not just digital watches or the satellite watches. When I say the satellite watch, I'm referring to the mobile phone that's handy these days, or definitely was handy. I'm not sure how much mobiles were active when you were born. 1995, I hardly remember we in India at least how many households were using mobile phones. So satellite phone was ruled out. And yes, I understand digital watches, digital clocks, or the analog ones. There is always a likelihood of a minute here and there. So just by shifting your birth time by a minute, Miss Sanyal, and if I make this 919 as 918, you will see your entire chart getting changed because now the lagna or the ascendant becomes Pisces instead of Aries. So that tells me that yes, this chart requires a birth time rectification. Coming back to the same concept, I made it 919. So I said we will look at the strength of the 10th house. How do we look at the strength? What kind of planets are placed? So I see Mercury placed in the 10th house. Now, Mercury is friendly to the landlord. Mercury is a friendly planet to Saturn. I don't see a problem here. Uh, we are not referring right now to those minor details of is the Karko Bhava Nasha getting activated because of Mercury's presence. But yes, we would say Mercury being a friendly planet to Saturn, good for Mercury to be placed in the 10th house. Mercury is bringing in energies of the third and the sixth. Okay. It is the Artha Trikon Lord. So because 2, 6, 10 are the Artha Trikon, is the Artha Trikon. So the sixth house Lord, along with the third house Lord coming into the 10th, it is bringing in some amount of competition, legal, medical, your hobbies and skills, your short distance travel, your communication, your publication things to the 10th, because the energies of the third and the sixth are coming into the 10th house. Okay. Yeah, for sure you may opt for it. Now, the 10th house lord is definitely well placed, Miss Sanyal, in this example, because the 10th house lord being Saturn is strongly placed in its own Mool Trikon Rashi, that is, Aquarius, and that to the 10th house lord being in the 11th, a great thing. Now we assess the strength of, and again, okay, Mars is aspecting, so Mars is afflicting, but again, this is where Mars gains directional strength. This is the exaltation sign of Mars. So I don't see too much, though there is an affliction here, and the Mars is carrying the energies of the ascendant. So yes, we were talking about the ascendant Lord making a connection with the 10th house. Yes, it is making a connection. It is debilitated, but there's a Neech Bhanga happening, a clear-cut Neech Bhanga happening since moon is placed in the same Rashi. So moon is creating a cancellation of debilitation for Mars. Okay. And this Mars is clearly making a connection not only with the 10th house, but also with the 10th house Lord, because Mars has the fourth drishti, Mars has the seventh drishti, and Mars has the eighth drishti. Okay. Now see, so beautifully, the ascendant Lord Mars making a connection with the seventh house, 10th from the 10th, Bhavad Bhavam. So we definitely wanted a connection being established. So the Lagna Lord Mars is making a connection with the seventh house. Okay. The Lagna Lord Mars is making a connection with the 10th house. The Lagna Lord Mars is also making a connection with the 10th house Lord. Now we look at the 7th house and the 7th house Lord. The 7th house is afflicted by, Rahu. Rahu being placed in the 7th house is definitely creating an affliction to the 7th. Mars Drishti, yes, that's also an affliction. I understand there's a connection getting established, but yes, it's an affliction as well. And we have no other, I would say Shubh Grahas who are aspecting the seventh house. I don't have an aspect of Jupiter and definitely not of Venus and Mercury as well, and neither of Moon. Then I look at the placement of the seventh house Lord. So I see the seventh house Lord in the ninth, and the seventh house Lord not making any connection with the 10th house, or the seventh house Lord not making any connection with the, I would say, 10th house Lord as well. Neither with the 10th house nor with the 10th house Lord. And this is also not making a connection with your ascendant Lord as well. So when I see that more prominently the 10th house is, showing us more involvement, and the seventh house or the seventh house Lord is not able to establish. Okay, first of all, Venus in Jupiter's Rashi, it's okay. I will not say it's too bad. And a guru sitting in another guru's Rashi, and you know, somewhere it's not a great positioning for the seventh house Lord, because the seventh house Lord is going into the house of Parakram. So it's third from the seventh. And the second house Lord is going to the ninth, which is eighth from the second. So somewhere we see the movement of the second house Lord and the movement of the seventh house Lord, which is Venus in this case, is not that favorable. Okay. However, we now will also assess the strength of the 10th house Lord from Moon. Now, if Moon is placed in Cancer, 10th house from Moon is, friends, Aries. Now, Aries is ruled by Mars. We see a beautiful connection that the 10th house Lord from the Moon, which is Mars, is conjunct with Moon. Moon is creating a Nij Bhanga for that debilitated planet. That the 10th Lord from the Moon is debilitated. Okay. The 10th Lord from the Moon is debilitated. It shows certain pending karma towards the career house. Okay. It's not a easy journey. Okay. However, the same 10th Lord from the Moon, which is Mars in this case, though debilitated, however, it is still having Nicha Bhanga in the same chart. So Moon is the key, or Moon is the main planet which will make you rise and shine in your career in this Janma. Now, Ms. Sanyal, I'm making these statements considering this is the accurate Lagna chart that I am referring to. I did mention in the beginning, by just shifting up, changing 1 minute early, the Lagna was getting shifted from Aries to Pisces. So please, if the chart is accurate and if the birth time is 9:19 or a minute beyond 9:19, like 9:20, 9:21, we are absolutely referring to the correct Lagna chart. But if it is even a minute earlier, then things do change. However, in this case, this Mars, which is not only your ascendant Lord, so which is you, Miss Sanyal, in this Janma, this is also the decider of your fame, your power, your status, and honor that you get, because this Mars is the Lord of the 10th house from the natal moon. And this Mars is making a connection with the 10th house, is making a connection with the 10th house Lord, and also making a connection with the seventh house. So this Mars is what will decide your career. Now, if this Mars is sitting in the fourth house, okay, if this Mars is sitting in this fourth house, which is the 10th Lord from your moon. Now, understand it clearly, Ms. Sanyal. And this is a full-fledged career guidance session that is happening for Ms. Sanyal. And I want every audience of mine to understand the approach. See, that's why I took these that's why I, opt for these live case studies, so that I don't pull up a chart where my audience might just find that it's already prepared. I've already looked at that chart and I'm just trying to, substantiate my talk with that chart. No, astrology, again, here I'm doing Jyotisha. I'm sharing the yatharth, the real science. I'm not trying to win any debate here. I'm not trying to prove a point. It's not my point. It is all the teachings of, Rishi, Sage Parashar, Sage Gemini. Okay. So I'm just explaining the concepts which are detailed by them. I've not invented. Maybe some of the things through research we understand and we infer. It's a science. It's evolving every day. However, Miss Sanyal, if Mars is the deciding factor of your career because it becomes the 10th lord from your natal moon, in your case, no complications, no confusions, because the same Mars is also you. I don't have to look at is the Lagna lord, the ascendant lord, making a connection with this 10th lord or not. The Lagna Lord or the Ascendant Lord is the same planet, Mars, which also happens to become your 10th Lord from the Moon. You will have to focus on the fourth house significance, the fourth house karakattvas, if you want to excel in this Janma in your career. I repeat, Miss Anyal, the fourth house is key for you. Fourth house will, give us clue what you need to do, which direction you need to go in your respective chosen, or which should be that chosen field in this current janma. The Mars karak tattvas are there, so it's energy, it's um, I would say that determination, that speed, that assertiveness, that aggression, that fire, all that is true. Great, great. So you are doing the right thing, Miss Sanyal, because this is the house of the mother. This is the house of the public. This is the house of the mind, the manas. And your being a Kalapurush Kundli, it resonates absolutely as it is. I don't have to relate to the Kalapurush Kundli separately in your case, because that becomes our job becomes easier whenever we get a Aries ascendant Lagna or a Aries ascendant chart. Another thing, mother's blessing, your relationship with your mother, your karmas towards your mother are extremely important in this lifetime. Your mother's blessing is what will make you shine in this janma. The mother, the fourth house lord represents the mother. Moon represents the mother universally for all beings, for all human beings. In your case, that moon is giving that neech bhanga to you. You means Mars, and that moon is giving neech bhanga to your career. That's again Mars, because that's 10th lord from the moon. So you will excel in the karak tattvas of the fourth house, and you will excel through the blessings of your mother. I hope Miss Sanyal and all my audience are able to relate to how we approach when we are looking at somebody's career or during a career counseling session. This is one of those, I would say, major consultations that I receive when I do my personal consultations. You can always reach out to me on my WhatsApp number mentioned on my video descriptions, and you can book a personal reading for yourselves. I'm talking to anyone who's listening to this video. And when I'm doing a career counseling reading or a career guidance workshop, this is how exactly I will approach a chart. Something to do with psychology, something to do with the mind, something to do with the real estate, something to do with interior designing. All these becomes avenues or opportunities in which Miss Sanyal in this Janma can travel to. Because fourth house, yes, it is mind, it is manas, but fourth house is also our home, our house. So that's why I used words like interior designing. The fourth house or architecture, architects. The fourth house is also the real estate, the vehicles. Okay. So even in the real estate world, even in the automobile industry, all this is represented by the fourth house. So now if there is anyone who wants to opt for a paid question in this session, I'm just checking with my audience if there is anyone who wants to opt for a paid question. I would be more than happy to take up that chart. And the paid question in these sessions is for 510 rupees, guys. I did mention in the beginning the mobile number to which you need to transfer 510 rupees using any UPI app. I see Vicky Singh. Yes. So, sir, first house, Radhe Radhe. Vicky Singh or Vicky ji, if there's something very critical that you want me to cover regarding your career, I may request you to go for the paid service, and you may wish to, Radhe Radhe Vicky ji, and you may wish to transfer 510 rupees. And I see Siddharth. So Siddharth, again, the paid question option during my live sessions on YouTube is just 510 rupees per question. So Siddharth Trivedi, you can also opt. So Siddharth, are you going for the paid question option? I've mentioned my number. Please do let me know if anyone wants to opt for, the paid question service. Uh, Apurva, okay, I will take up your chart. I'm just waiting. If somebody is going ahead with the paid question, I will definitely take up that question first. And if I have no one in the audience who wants to avail that paid question service, I will take up just one more chart to explain that detail. Siddharth, okay. It's I do personal consultations also, Siddharth, and my 2 hour life and soul path reading session is priced at 15,000 rupees per chart, and my 1 hour consultations are priced at 10,500. And for my existing clients, if I do a follow-up session for a 30-minute short reading, I price it at 6,000 rupees. So I definitely am not doing it, just to mint money on these sessions, but 510 is just a small token amount I've kept for genuine seekers, for genuine, cases wherein they are not able to avail those personal consultation services which I offer, priced at 6,000, 10,500, and 15,000 respectively. So this 510 option gives them an opportunity. So I will just hold on for a minute maybe. If I see anyone opting for the paid service, kindly confirm, or else I will just take up any random chart, and maybe I will take up Apurva's chart uh, because I see, okay, okay, if no worries, I see today no one wants to opt for that paid question service. Absolutely fine. So I will use Apurva's case to explain you the same concept today. And see, the main objective here is once I explain you the concept, I am enabling you all to somehow apply those concepts. And for yourself, you will be able to make that basic assessment about you, your career. And again, I reiterate, if there is a major challenge going through in your career, if there is something critical you want to understand and want me to answer in your career, please, you may opt for the paid services. And you can book a personal consultation with me and I will definitely cover everything. So 3rd December 1999, it's 9 in the morning and it's Kolkata, West Bengal. That's the case. That's the chart for Apurva. Okay. So that's 3rd December 1999, 9 a.m. in the morning, Kolkata, West Bengal. Yeah. So Apurva, in your case, again, we are talking about career today. So I'm just explaining the same concept using your chart. The 10th house, we'll refer to the 10th house first. So we see Mercury is the ruler of the 10th house. We find Mercury placed in the 11th house with the 11th house Lord. Great. In your case, Apurva, again, things become more simple because the 7th house Lord and the 10th house Lord are both the same planets, Mercury. So good. We don't have to look at the connection that it establishes. It is anyways the same planet energy, the same planet carrying the energies of both the houses. Good, great thing. From the 7th house, it is in the 11th. So it's a transition to the 5th from its own house. And from the 10th, transition to the 2nd from its house. So both the 7th house Lord and the 10th house Lord are placed well, and they are the same planet. And it's also conjunct with its own friend. It's also having aspect of a great benefic Jupiter. I understand, yes, Saturn is also afflicting this connection, but again, it's Saturn's two best friends, one best buddy, which is Venus, and another friend, Mercury, placed here. I don't see much of challenges. We'll quickly now look at the 10th Lord from the moon. Now, that is also again Mercury. So, for you, Apurva, it's all about Mercury. And see how beautifully Mercury is making a connection with Jupiter. Jupiter is your Lagna Lord, ascendant Lord, right? And Mercury is your 10th house Lord. Mercury is your 7th house Lord, which is 10th from the 10th. And Mercury is also the 10th house Lord from your natal moon. So your natal moon is in the 10th. 10th house from the natal moon is 7th. The 7th house Lord is Mercury. Now, Mercury is in the 11th house. So it tells me that you'll be working for large groups, those big organizations, those large corporates. Your professional circle has to be of not only affluent people, but it will be a huge network. So professionally, I see you, Apurva, rising for sure. Okay. And I remember there is a huge connect I see between the 7th house Lord and the 2nd house Lord. I think we definitely have taken your chart earlier. Maybe there was some other concept that we were explaining. So the connection between the 7th, 5th and the 2nd is already established. The 2nd house Lord is in the 5th and the 5th house Lord is exalted in the 2nd. So Apurva, for you, you are definitely going to make it uh, big in your career in this Janma for sure. Be rest assured. Okay. So, friends, I would, I would say put a stage or halt this discussion for today. I'll again come back tomorrow with another live interaction. Today, this interaction was to clearly define the approach one needs to take when they are trying to infer about their career, respective careers. And I would request you all to please listen to this interaction from the very beginning and also pay importance to those two case studies that we took, the live case studies that we took in today's session, because exactly then you will be able to relate it with your chart, or you will be able to apply it to your respective charts for to assess for yourselves the way your career should move. And the karak tattvas of those houses where you see those planets, the decision makers sitting, please understand those houses are key. The relationship that those houses represent are the key. Okay, as 11th house, I talked about large corporates, large circle, influential people. The 11th house is also the house of our elder siblings. So if the individual has elder siblings, that elder siblings' blessing will be absolutely key in defining somebody's career. If it's a well-placed, decision, that key planet, as we were discussing Apurva's case, so we found Apurva's Mercury well-placed in the 11th house with the 11th house Lord Venus. Okay. So I may please request all my viewers, please do subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Please help me expand this family of Astrosatyajit on YouTube. I need your blessings. I need your support. Jai Shri Ram doston. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha.